What's good YouTube? We've got the brand new Vendread cards here today. We've got 4 of them bad boys. Last time it was 5, it seems to be 4 this time, unless there's a 5th lurking around. And with how this archetype works, you've got the nice, awesome power of Resident Evil combined with Spawn, one of the coolest designed villains. I love Venom, if you haven't noticed. Spawn was actually designed by the same guy. Weird. You could probably tell that. But Vendreads just have this awesome look. Now, I feel like after seeing the new cards, we got a field spell that we're going to go over. We got a level 2 monster, we got a level 5 ritual, and a trap. I feel like what's truly missing from this archetype is some kind of card you summon and just get an advantage. A Stratos per se. And I feel like there were restrictions put in these cards that didn't necessarily need to be there. Let's talk about both of these, shall we? So, with Italian Yu-Gi-Oh! Doing such a huge job today, it's been insane. Let's go ahead and get into these. Vendread Knights. You can discard a card and add 1 Vendread monster from your deck to your hand. Alright, I like this part a lot, except for monster. I wish it let you resource any of your traps / spells, because that would have been truly awesome and just made this deck a better toolbox. Discarding a card's really good in the zombie archetype. You can put a Mizuki in grave, you can put other cards that you want in grave. The Vendreads themselves can be used for ritual summons from grave. It's very balancing, and it works really well with our new level 2. It actually gives you a +1 with the new level 2. The second effect goes hand in hand with the level 2 as well. But you can only use this first effect as a hard once per turn. Now the second effect does not have a limiter. When/if a Vendread monster you control destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can banish 1 Vendread monster from your graveyard. That Vendread monster can make a second attack in a row on an opponent's monster. I like that this is any Vendread monster, not just ritual monsters. That was nice. They didn't limit that too much. However, how often are you going to have Vendreads just in your graveyard? How often are you not going to have banished them in order to ritual summon or banish to use Vendread Slayer's effect? Or the, it's just, your deck kind of focuses on banishing these. Now, the Shiranuis all get effects when banished as well for the most part, and go hand in hand with them as well. We've seen a lot of people in the initial builds try to make some kind of Lightsworn Millish version that use the Shiranui also to get advantage. No longer do I feel you'll be having to use as much as a crutch and using such a large engine. You'll be able to pick and choose more so what you're doing with it. It's a great card overall. It's a field spell that can be resourced. I feel it's a field spell, super balanced, gives cheese, wins. I like it. I like it. I'd give it a 9 out of 10 on the field spell. It's not diagram, but it's pretty darn good. It does search any Vendread monster. I think it's pretty good. Let's continue on. They've had such a big day over here at Italian Yu-Gi-Oh! It has been crazy. You might be seeing some awesome cards. I've already talked about a lot of these. There's Kaleido Chick. Hey! We continue on, keep on scrolling. Here we are. We've got our new Vendread Trap. It is a rare. While you have a Vendread monster in your hand, you can special summon Vendread monsters that are banished that have different names and have the same level as the ritual Vendread monster in your hand. So it has to be a ritual here that you reveal from your hand, and you special summon your banished ones. This is the first card that's giving you advantage off your banished Vendreads. This is pretty awesome, but it seems to require a lot of setup just in that fact. Then after you set tribute, I assume this is tribute for sacrifice, those monsters and special summon the Vendread monster from your hand. You must be able to special summon the ritual monster for you to activate and resolve this effect. So you're resourcing your banished, you're bringing them to the field. They must be different names and different levels. This is pretty big. It indicates we might get different kinds of levels in the future than what we were already given. We have a 4, a 3, and a 2. So if you want to make Vendread Slayer, you need the 4 and the 2. You can't use 2 3s. If you want to go ahead and make our new 5, you need to use the 2 and the 3. So kind of predetermined effects there for now until we get like a level 1 and some other things like maybe a level 5. But it almost seems like they're setting up to overlap levels. And I do think that's pretty cool. Overall, again, this just feels slow. You're setting up. That's what zombies just do. You set Mizuki up. You use Omega to bring back the Mizuki. You're setting up continuously. You just don't gain that free advantage ever. it's rough out here for a zombie player, isn't it? But overall, I do like that the card accesses your banished. You've just got to get there uninterrupted, and then you still have to have the card in hand. Now, this card, remember how I said it's going to work with the field spell? It's going to do it on two fronts. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can reveal one Vendread card in your hand, and if you do, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So you basically get to pitch it with the field spell. You're adding a Vendread for sure. Next on the chain links is going to be this. You're going to be activating this, I believe, in a new chain, and then reveal. You can just reveal the Vendread you've searched. Isn't that pretty cool? So you're going to be able to special summon it to the field to be using for ritual summons almost always, since you're usually going to have the field spell. If this card on the field is used for a ritual summon of a Vendread ritual monster, the card gains the following effect. After damage calculation, if this card battled an opponent's monster, so battle based, you remember you get to attack multiple things, and you see how this affects not a once per turn? Synergy. You can draw one card and discard one card. Alright, so you got more ways to not get a Pure Plus, but get more setup, and that's kind of what your deck is doing here. It's really, I like the art, by the way. Crows are huge to Resident Evil. I don't know what this multi-headed bird in the background's doing, but it's crazy too. I really like the art on this card. It's good. It's really, really good. You have so many ways to get it into the grave and get that advantage. So, again, it has to work with something to get its effect. But if it's sent to the graveyard anyway, so you use it for the ritual, it pops back out. It's really good overall, and then it's going to banish so that you can use for the trap if you use it again. I think there's a lot to this card that just screams really good. Its stats, of course, are kind of weak in the attack position, but it's actually got a huge booty at 2,000. That's actually not that much of a joke depending on the deck that you are facing. So overall, really great new support here. Let's go ahead and scroll on down to our oh man, they've been asking for like challenges. It's been really cool. They've done so much today, Italian Yu-Gi-Oh! Keep on scrolling. Our Vendread secret rare here. Oops, we went too hard. All right, Vendread Chimera, the secret rare. You can ritual summon this card using any Vendread ritual spell card. When a card or effect that destroys a card on the field is activated, quick effect, you can banish a zombie from your graveyard, gate the activation, and you do destroy this card. I really like that it's not a Vendread card that you have to banish. I really like that you can do your Shiranuis and get more advantage off that way. I think this was really cool. It can stop Twin Twisters, Kaiju Slumber, Dark Hole, Regeki, many relevant cards. You did a really good job with this one. I wish it had more attack, but it also has a great effect for when it's used to tribute. If this card is tributed or banished for a ritual summon, all monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. You can only use each effect once per turn. That's permanent. That's pretty nice. You use it to help summon Vendread Slayer if you need to. It can't be, unfortunately, pre-prepped. That's the only real limitation I feel here. But now you can search it with the field spell. They did real nice packaging this all together. Like I said, it feels like the missing part is advantage. You have all the setup, you have ways to gain advantage through setup, but any interruption kind of destroys the glass cannon. So we're going to come over here to Dueling Book and look at the old Vendreads and talk about how this mashes together with them. I feel like it's done pretty well for itself overall. And let me get us a real setup here, boyos. Let me go ahead and get us the good old Dueling Book setup. I want to show you guys the old Vendreads in a sense that this is going to be a good deck with its future support. There's no way it doesn't become a good deck with its future support. But currently, the dreaded not saved. Basically, we're just going to be talking about these 5 cards we already had. Slayer, I think, is the worst ritual monster out of the two. Yes, it's bigger. Yes, it continues to beef up. Yes, your banishes will work with the Shiranuis. Its only effect is to gain attack. Objectively, protecting your cards on field is better with a body that's already decently beefy. I think It's just rough though. He's not as good, and he's the one that you're going to be pre-prepping. You can add a ritual spell card, a ritual spell from your deck to your hand, and if you do, send a Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard when this ritual summon card is into the graveyard. That's also a very good effect. It helps you continue to resource with setup, and I think that's overall nice. Vendread Origin, of course, an amazing spell card. It's only going to protect Slayer with its effect, though, unless the new one is somehow a Vendread Slayer, which I don't think it will be. It's labeled Chimera, so there's almost no way. Vendread Hound Horde is a level 3. Its effect when used for the ritual summon is you can target a spell or trap card your opponent controls, banish it. You'll most likely be using that with the 2 every time you're summoning the 5 with that trap card. And then we have the once per turn you can target a special summon monster your opponent controls, banish it. Much nicer. Again, the problem is you have to have these monsters on the field to get that effect. When they're being used for the ritual summon, you can't use them from graveyard and gain these effects, and that's kind of what sucks about Vendread's just a little bit. Just a little bit. And then we've got our Kaiju Trap, which I think will be played. Unfortunately, you have to target one face-up monster your opponent controls that has a level and tribute it. And if you do, special summon the Vendread token with a level equal to the tributed monster's original level. The targeting thing kind of goes against the whole point of Kaijus. Kaijus don't have to target. They don't care if it's affected. It's definitely still a great card, but it lacks in that department, and again, it's setup. But I think it's still a really great card, and it won't work on Link monsters, unfortunately. Overall, your resources and tools just never give you free, straight-up advantage. Gives you setup advantage, and setup. You don't got a quick fix, you don't got a Stratos, and that's really what the deck is lacking, and we'll see if it gets it in the future sets. I mean, zombies are really powerful, so giving a zombies a +1 like that could turn it into a deck, but with SPYRAL so tier 0, would it really have been that bad to give them a +1 card, a card that just searches any Vendread when summoned, or it searches a Vendread when used as a ritual, even though that's set up? A nice +1, which it would have been just great, just some kind of free +1 that goes along with the deck. So I mean, SPYRAL's field spell does that in a sense. This one has to discard. It's just rough out here for this deck, and they're just barely lacking that extra oomph. Although everything continues to go with its setup and makes it tough to get through. With 2 more sets of support, it's hard to imagine this isn't going to become broken. So I would be getting them now while they're cheap, while people sleep on them, while people don't do much with it. It's not good now. I really think it's hard for it not to be good. I don't think it's not like the Subterrors, where you hope and hope and hope. It's already almost there, and it just needs one real card to break it through, in my opinion. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what you feel about these cards. Am I missing something? Is there just so much with this now that it can compete? Grass at 1, you got no real true +1s outside of Solitaire, being able to send the Mizuki, get the Unizombie, and again, glass shells that get hit by hand traps. What do you feel about this deck, guys? I feel like I'm hitting it spot on, but maybe I'm missing something, and I always want to hear from you.